Good morning, everybody. Musical Mornings is about to begin. Couple really cool announcements. All right, so Musical Mornings is now going to be a monthly workbook that I put out. I want everybody to be able to get a hard copy of this stuff in the mail so that they can work at it with their own pace. Part of this is I get here in the mornings and I go through these exercises, but as a learner, you may not go through these as fast as I'm able to crank them out. So these musical mornings are meant so that you go through each and every one and you can join in the videos to ask questions. You can chat with each other. We're all trying to get better together. But the idea is also that you're able to open this up on your own practice stand and practice it. So I also want you guys to use this video as a chance to check your work. So if you guys want to know more about that, you can join my mailing list by going to musicandguitarlessons.com/journal. You could download the free journal, join my mailing list. You can join the Fretboard Dojo, and anybody that signs up as a Dojo Hero, the $25 a month level, you're going to get the workbook, 55 pages in the mail every month, every single month, guys, so that you can sit down and go through this stuff regularly and become an absolute beast at your playing. So with that being said, check out the link below to see all that stuff. I don't want to spend too much time talking about that because, of course, I'm one of the few YouTube teachers that's just going to get straight to the nitty-gritty. So let's warm up with today's technical exercise. Remember, we go technique, music theory quiz, sight reading rhythm, sight reading on guitar, and composition every morning. If you guys are just joining in, please say hi in the chat. We're starting our technique. Fridays is going to be a new finger picking pattern every Friday. These are really fun. So just to start you off, the first measure here, we're going to be using a C major chord. The second measure, we're going to be using an A minor chord. The third measure, we're going to be using a D minor chord. And the fourth measure, we'll be using a G7 in first inversion. After that, we repeat and go through it again. Now I'm going to show you the picking pattern here in a second, but I want to give you just a couple pointers on switching between these chords. First off, your C major to A minor, I can actually keep, so C major is third fret of the A, second of the D, G, open, B, first fret, open, high E, right? When I switch to the A minor, all you have to do is move your third finger. You'll notice my index and my middle finger are not lifting up. Just third finger, second fret of the G, and get the same strings. Now when you're moving to the D minor, you're really just going to have to switch all the fingers. We're using second finger, pinky, and index. A lot of people will use that third finger there. Use your pinky. Use your pinky, guys. You're going to really thank yourself for it. And then to get to the G7, you keep your index and pinky right in place and just move your second finger, second fret of the A. Now the picking pattern goes like this. We're going to do thumb on the A, index on the G, thumb on the D, middle on the B, index on the G, ring on the high E, thumb on the D, middle on the B. So if I'm doing my C major pattern, I'm going to pick up here. Actually, let me go ahead and actually just change the camera a little bit so you can see my picking hand. You've already seen those chords, so let's take a look at the picking hand. We have thumb, index, thumb, middle, index, ring, thumb, middle, thumb, index, thumb, middle, index, ring, thumb, middle, thumb, index, thumb, middle, index, ring, thumb, middle, thumb, index, thumb, ring, index, ring, thumb, middle. So bum bum ba da 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 da. And two times. I just like to do a nice little stroke on that last C chord. So real quick, I'm my camera guy, my book guy, my website. Well, actually not really my website guy anymore. I've got somebody helping me with that. So if you guys hang in here with me so that I can get my camera looking correct, I want you to go ahead and see how I'm switching with this hand. We're going to finish up the technical exercise and move on to the music theory. Here we go. you guys will notice is that I'm moving my fingers as needed. So this next one I'm going second, pinky, and then index, right? So I'm adding those in as I need them. So a little faster. There's our technical exercise for today. All right, so this is Friday. So now what we're going to be doing is our music theory quiz. And on Fridays, I want to do find the missing note, or what is the missing note from the chord. So I'm going to walk you through this idea, and then I want you guys to go ahead and type some answers down in the chat if you could. So we're in C major, and I'm giving you a few notes from each chord, but there is a missing note from every triad. So the first one, you see the Roman numeral 1. So that's indicating the first chord in C major, which is, of course, C major. Now, it's missing a note. C major is spelled C, E, and G. And as you can see, the first chord has a C and a G. So, what's the missing note? Well, of course, it's E. Now, the second chord is D minor. Next chord, 5-7. Or G7. So you need to know not only your Roman numerals in C major, but then you also need to know the notes inside of the chord so that you can fill in the missing note for the chord. So I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to look at this. If you have any questions at all, please put them down in the chat. Please put your answers down in the chat. This is a really good exercise on music theory, and it's a little trickier than all the other stuff that we're doing. Fridays is find the missing note. What is the missing note from each chord? And sorry, I'm always goofing on my guitar. Take a few moments, guys. We're going to be doing about 40 seconds more for you to go through this. Pause the video if you need to. I go through this stuff rather quickly. However, you know, I've been doing this a long time, so you guys should expect for this to take you a little bit longer than me. So again, what is the note that is missing from each chord? What is the note that's missing from each chord? In order to answer this, you have to know, A, what's the chord that's being spelled? So reference the Roman numeral below it for that. B, what are the notes in that chord? And C, which one is missing from the group of notes that we have on the screen? All right, guys, about 10 more seconds, 10 more seconds, and then we are going to go through the answers on this one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here's our answer key. All right, guys, so we have C and G. The missing note for C major would be E. All right, so we could play that on the second fret of our D if we wanted, or as the open high E. Next, we have the 2 chord, which is D minor, and on the screen we have D and F. So what is the missing note there? A, second fret of the G. Now you can play that D on the 5th of the A, the F on the 3rd of the D, and then that missing A, you can get the 2nd of the G. All right, and you can find this other places. We do more note finding on Mondays. Note finding is very important to be able to do. Next we have 5-7. So the 5-7 in this chord is G7. The notes inside of G7 are G, B, D, and F. So on the screen we have G, G, and B. So we're actually missing 2 notes. Now the reason why I did that is because I want you to know that sometimes you can leave the 5th out of every chord. And in this case, that's the D for the G. So the missing note, in order to make it 5-7, would be F. Right? If you added the D instead of the F, it would just be a 5 chord. That 7 chord, the F is the 7th note forward in the alphabet from G. So you need to add that one in to make it 5-7. All right, next we have our 1 chord. We have C, C, and E. What is the missing note from that chord? we have G. So our C is on the A, 3rd fret, 1st fret of the B, high E, and then we can add in open G to make it a C major. Or if you wanted, you could actually grab your C in here and get that G. You could also get this G here, 5th fret of the D. There's a number of ways to make that a C major chord. So next we have 2 with the 6 next to it. So that means our D chord, but it's in 1st inversion. So the D chord is D, F, A, and all we have on the screen is F and A. So if we wanted to make it a D minor, we could add that 3rd fret of the B in there. All right, take your time to find these chords, guys. Next we have 5, 4, 2, which means that's our 5-7 chord, but there's an inversion involved here. Now, if you're not sure what these inversion numbers mean, you can check out Music Theory in One Lesson, the hour-long music theory video I put up. I don't want to talk too much about how the theory works in this. I just want to quiz you guys on it. Go check that video out if you're not sure how this works. So 5-4-2 is a 5-7 chord in 3rd inversion. Now our 5-7 chord is G7, G, B, D, F. If you look, F is in the bass. We have F, B, and G. So we're missing a D from this chord, missing a D. Now it's going to actually be kind of tough to get the D in there, right? Because we have our F, B, and D. So what we're actually going to have to do is we're going to grab the B on the 4th fret of the G string here, and then we're going to grab our D on the B string. There's our G7 3rd inversion. Next, we have our 3 chord, E, G, and we have another G. Well, 3 chords E minor, spelled E, G, B. So we're missing our B from this chord. If I set it up, there's my E minor chord. All right, guys, after that we have 5, 6. It's a G major in 1st inversion. We have B, G, B, and G. And what I suggest is that we're missing the D. So what I would do is either move the D to the G string, but then we'd be missing the G. So I'd actually just take that open B string out and change it to a 3rd fret of the B for a G. And that sounds like a nice, clean chord. All right, guys. There's our music theory quiz for this Friday. Also, quick announcement. Once I finish this, I'm doing another live stream probably about 9 o'clock. Yeah, let's call it 9 o'clock. The first episode of my blues lessons. So check that out, guys. It's going to be fun. All right. Next, not sight reading. We want rhythm sight reading. So next, we're going to be doing our rhythm sight reading. This is in 9/8, which means we have 3 beats per measure. And those beats are broken up into triplets. So if we're going to be drumming on our guitar, I'm just going to drum and count in. We're going to see 3 beats broken into triplets. I'm also going to be doing some compound rhythm lessons on my Rhythm Made Easy series, which you can check out on the homepage of my channel. I'm going to count it nice and slow. Go ahead and try and drum along, or the first time through, follow along with your eyes. Here we go. 1, 2, and 3, and 1, and 2, and 3. 1, and 2, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 1, and 2, 3, and 1, and 2, and 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 3. Okay. Larry Weinbauer asks, how do we find the next live session? You can come to this link. Just go to my channel here at 9 o'clock or so. And Larry, I have your email, so I'll send you an email and you'll get a link. All right, guys, I'm going to count in again. 1, and 2, and 3, and 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 2, and 3, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 1, and 2, and 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. All right, guys, there's our rhythm sight reading for the day. Remember, sight reading rhythm is super, super important. It really helps with the overall musicianship. You know, half of the playing is the rhythm, guys. The other half is the notes. And sometimes as guitar players, we only focus on the notes and not the rhythm. We need to be able to count too, guys. Sorry, someone actually sent me an email asking, "Where's the coffee?" Like, you're good question. I wake up at about 4:30 in the morning, 5 in the morning, and get started at work then. So that's when I drink my coffee. But more coffee for Friday. I'm going to give you guys a few moments to look at this sight reading exercise. So the sight reading, one of my favorite parts, and I think sight writing is my favorite part because then we get to get a little creative on air. This is in C major, 4/4, and I want, if you see the Roman numeral 5 up there, that means I want you to read it in the 5th position. 2 voices in the 5th position, you say. That sounds difficult. It is difficult, so please take your time. Hit the pause button if you need to. Find the notes, and if the 5th position seems too tough for you on this one, then by all means, please, 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 just do it in 1st position. But 5th position, try 5th position first. And then after you do it in 5th position, go ahead and do it in 1st position too. Why not? Even, you could do it in 8th position. It's good to do this all over the guitar fretboard. I'm going to give you guys roughly 45 more seconds to look at this, and I'm just going to talk like I usually do. So with this, guys, keep in mind, it is so important to read something new every day. If you get better at reading, then you get better at everything, really. Think of it this way, and this is a question I ask a lot of my students, and I have one of my students actually here on the live stream, it looks like, Dylan. I believe I've asked Dylan this question. How much time in your practice session do you spend reading music? How long does it take for you to find the notes? Well, oftentimes that number is pretty high. Maybe half your practice session, more than half your practice session finding notes. So if you get good at finding the notes, you get good at counting the rhythms, you spend 2% of your time reading it and the rest of the time playing. All right. So we're going to take a look. Hey, Scott, I'm going to describe the tritone a little bit here at the end of the lesson. Thanks for the compliments. I really appreciate it. So let's run through this. Remember, this is in 5th position. We're in 4/4. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and there's our rhythm. Now I want to talk about the 5th position notes first. We're going to go through this nice and slow, guys, and then I'm going to count us in. So we start with C. In order to get that in the 5th position, you're actually going to get your pinky on the 8th fret of the low E. Then our high E there is 5th position, is 5th fret of the B with your index. So we had bum and then da, 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 da. Now we want to have the C ring over, so it's 1 and 2 and. Then our E here is 7th of the A. We go there, and then we're going to grab the C that's next on the 5th of the G. Da, da, da. So we get 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then next we get our B, which is 7th of the low E, and then we get 7th of the G for that D. So we have bum, ba, oopsies, bum, ba, ba, ba. And then we're going to actually slide back to 4th position for just a second. We're going to grab 5th of the A for our D, and then 4th of the G for the B, and then slide back up to 8th of the low E for that C, and we're going to be doing another C on the 5th of the G. After that, we get our E, and then the same C on the G again, da, 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 and then we're going to get the B again, and then 5th of the D for our G. And then, after that, we're going to 5th of the A for that D, 4th of the G for the B again, and then we're going to grab our C's at an octave there. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Oopsies, 1. I was like, oh, I hit an F. Sorry, my bad. So let's go ahead and do that one more time. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 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 3 and 4 and 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 4 and 1. All right, let's do this in first position now. So we went from these shapes here, and we can actually play the same ones in first position. So let's go through that. So we have C, third fret of the A, open E, second fret of the D, first fret of the B for that, C, right? And then we have B, da, 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 and D, third fret of the B, open D, open B, and then we have our C's, third fret of the A, first fret of the B, second fret of the D, first fret of the B, and then we have second fret of the A, open G, and then open D, open B, and then our octaves we get. So in fifth position, and then in first position. All right, guys, next is my favorite part of the lesson, sight writing. So here I have the music up on the screen. I had a student ask, what is this software? This is Sibelius, guys. Sibelius is awesome. I might see if they have an affiliate program, so I can drop a link, and maybe they'll give me a chunk of change for saying they're awesome. But full disclosure, I have no affiliate relationship with them right now. I just like the software. I'm sure better software is going to come out in the future. It's not perfect, but it's pretty awesome. Okay, guys. So what we want to do here is kind of take this first measure and mirror it. What we were doing before is we went to a B, D, 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 and then D, ba, ba, ba. So I have kind of some ghostly looking notes here. I'm going to go ahead and unhide these notes, and we're going to just kind of change them around a little bit. So we have C, E. Let's figure out a bass line we like more. So we're going C, E, and then after that we went B, D, and those are just thirds moving down. And maybe we don't want to do a B with a D. Maybe we want to go to a different chord. Instead of B and D, you know, that would be technically implying the 7 chord. This entire second measure is implying the 7 diminished chord, which is our B diminished. Why don't we go to an actual like 5 chord? Or why don't we go to maybe even a 2 then a 5? So if we went to a 2 from that E, we had E, C, 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 right? I would actually go down to D and then F, maybe F up there. Yeah, I like that. So we have D, F, 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 and then we could go B, D, 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 right? So I kind of like that. If we can move this B up to a D there, and we get F, F, F. And then we can move this down to a B and actually grab a G. Now, someone had been asking about chromaticism in the comments of my last video, and I'm thinking maybe I can do a little bit of that. So we have bum ba ba ba, and then maybe right. So if we can get bum F F sharp and then B, bum, bum, bum. I'm not sure how much I like it, but to illustrate the idea of adding an actual accidental to add into the tension and resolution, not a bad idea. You know what? I'm going to leave it out. I just don't like the sound of it so much. But I do like that G up there. Then we go back to our 1 chord here. And next we have another measure. So why don't we unhide this one? Of course, guys, in the PDF, this is blank, so you guys can write in your own music. I might want to kind of keep this structure the same, but maybe I'll add in a little scale or neighbor notes. So neighbor notes are a really cool way to add a little kind of flair to your playing. So if we went B and then G, A, G, right? We could even do that with the whole exercise, but we'll save that for next week. And then we go down to D, right? So that's actually a really cool sound. I like that a lot. So we get bum ba da da bum ba da da bum ba 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 bum ba 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 rum. And in fact, why don't we do that down here too? Why not? So there we would have that D, F, G, and then we'd go bum ba ba ba, bum ba ba ba. So what we get here is go ahead and take the sheet music off the screen so that you can see what I'm doing. So what we ended up doing was we took the first measure, which remains the same. So we have C, E, 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 C, C, C. And then we go to D, and then we're going to go F, G, F, right? And then B, G, F, G. And then we get our C again. C, 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 E, C, C, C. And then our B, we're going to grab our G here again, but neighbor note. So B, G, A, G, D, B, C, B. And we get our C's in there. So there's our sight writing for the morning, guys. Let's take a look at our questions. Let's see how everybody's doing here. And then I'm going to go ahead and prepare for the next live stream today, which is happening shortly. The first blues lesson, we're going to be going through some fun stuff on that, so keep an eye out, guys. All right, so we have a question on the tritone from Scott. He's kind of confused on the tritone. So here's the bottom line with the tritone, Scott. You have to look at its kind of purpose, and its purpose is to create tension that wants to resolve, right? So I'm going to use C and F sharp. I think that's a good tritone to look at on the guitar. So anytime you're dealing with a tritone, you're dealing with the distance of 3 whole steps. So if we go C, whole step to D, that's our first whole step, right? And then whole step to E, second whole step, and whole step to F sharp, that gives us the tritone, right? And we can play them both at the same time by first fret of the B and second fret of the high E. Now what happens is that F sharp and C, they just sound very unstable together, and they really want to go here, right? So F sharp and C are creating tension, and the F sharp feels like it wants to go up a half step to G, and then the C sounds like it wants to go down a half step to B. And what we do is we create chords around tritones that really want to resolve and give your ear the thing that it wants to hear. So if let's say we're in C major, and we go C major, we're going to D minor, and then we go to G major, and back to C. What if we say, you know what, I want more pull to my G major. I'm going to borrow the chord D7 from G major, which includes the F sharp and C, that want to resolve to notes that are inside of the G chord. So we're going and then bum. If we go to the D minor, we can then go to G. right? So that's just kind of an example of how that works. And then our G7 would want to go to C because it has the proper kind of tritone there. All right, guys. Neighbor's dog's outside. Now my dog's all riled up. I need to let my dog out, and then I'll see you guys here in 30 minutes. Come back to this channel in 30 minutes for my first live blues lesson. We're going to be doing fingerstyle blues introductions, one very simple template for you guys to write your own stuff, and 4 variations I've created of increasing difficulty. So this should be a good lesson from beginners all the way to advanced players. So guys, this was a great musical morning. Let's keep them up. I'll see you Monday for this show again. Take a look out for the blues lesson coming up in about half an hour.